You're listening to a special Christmas Day edition of The Briefing, first broadcast on the 25th of December, 2024 on Monocle Radio. Hello and welcome to The Briefing, coming to you live from Studio 1 here at Midori House in London this Christmas Day 2024. I'm Tom Edwards and may I wish you a very Merry Christmas. Coming up in today's programme, we'll hear about the regional Christmas traditions of various of our highly cosmopolitan colleagues. From the hills of Los Angeles to the wilds of the Pennines, Chris Lord will be here to share some of his northern Christmas secrets. And a little later...
Of all the ingredients that go into our fruitcake, whiskey is the most expensive, as well as the hardest to obtain.
Some special Christmas readings from our very own Gillian Dobias. That's all coming up right here on this special Christmas Day edition of The Briefing with me, Tom Edwards. Well, a very warm welcome to this extra special Christmas Day edition of The Briefing here on Monocle Radio. And I've managed to gather so many of the talents from places far and wide to join us to discuss what they're up to this hopefully sunny Christmas morning. Let me introduce them to you. Let's start over in San Moritz. I hope we find you well. Tyler Brûlé, how the devil?
Oh, dear. Good morning. Well, first, Merry Christmas, Tom. And you do catch us, of course, top of the world, as this place, of course, has been labeling itself for a very long time. And it's been amazing. Of course, this, we always sort of talk a little bit about sort of, all of the preparation that goes into it. We did something a little bit different this year. So we wanted to take the edge off. Of course, it was a bit of a difficult, it was a great year, but of course, there were many moving parts. So I thought, how do you take just that little bit of edge off? And so we outsourced Estonian Christmas. Here's the amazing thing. What we did is we actually found down the valley one of the mayors, the mayor of actually Silvaplana, which is 2 villages down. He has an Estonian wife. They own a hotel. The kitchen is full of Estonians. So all of the Estonian chefs actually just cooked up an amazing feast for us, and that just really took all the tension out of of course, our kitchen on Via del Bang.
I'll get some more steers from you on the specific nature of that.
Are we heading to other parts of the world?
Estonian feast, we will, Tyler,
okay.
But we'll come back to the Estonian feast in a moment. London calling Parma from the High Alps, Andrew Tuck to, well, I don't know, maybe not the seaside. Tell us where you are right now.
Well, I'm at home at the moment, but we are just by the seaside and it's very pleasant weather, so there will be a beach walk this afternoon with the dog. Because the interesting thing is, although it's Christmas Day here and we're certainly having a bit of festivities today, the big time for a meal here is actually on Christmas Eve, which happens to be was my birthday. I didn't get a card from you, Tom.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Those unreliable Spanish postmen.
Wait, I heard. Did I hear a voice from Chelsea just now?
Well, it's funny, Tyler, you're quite right. It almost feels, that voice almost felt like it was here in the room with me, uncanny. But from just around the way, going over to SW1, it's the one and only Brenda Toohey. Happy Christmas, Brenda.
Merry Christmas to all of you. I'm here in my kitchen. I haven't started on the champagne just yet.
Brenda, it's noon. Do you expect me to believe that for one second?
No, we don't believe this. Merry Christmas, Brenda. Happy Christmas.
Thank you. I'm just peeling some potatoes. I know people do Christmas lunch, but my lunch is always a little later.
What are we talking, like 7 p.m. is what we're talking? Yeah. Get the ball rolling. And any special, unusual, quirky Toohey traditions, aside from the aforementioned bottle or 10 of the old bubbly stuff?
I do drink only champagne on Christmas Day, that is true. I like to get up early and make a little bit of chicken liver pate, which basically, once you know how much butter goes into it, I mean, if you did, you'd never eat it, right? But I don't care, because on Christmas Day, I allow myself just to eat anything, everything, and lots of it.
Okay, does this mean are you back on bread?
Yes.
Because I can say we were out in the middle. Tom, listen, we were at the Petit Maison in Dubai, and I know, Brenda, I think you were probably heading to Dubai again, aren't you?
I am on the 27th. Yes.
Okay, so I'm not sure if she's going to be having unleavened bread or not, but she was not going near any of that pita or anything on the table.
No.
But because I was going to ask, with your chicken liver pate, Brenda, in Chelsea, there will be some kind of a crostini, a bread moment.
No, it's very special bread. It's a Georgian charcoal bread, which is black and delicious.
But wait, Georgian as in the U.S. state or the country in political turmoil?
The country in political turmoil.
There's a real kind of flavour of Eastern Europe knocking around, or northeastern perhaps. Tyler, just remind us about these Estonian fancies. I know we've told our Christmas Day listeners in previous iterations about some of the delights, but what are the kind of standouts in the menu? There's a couple of specifics that I think people should know about and maybe get involved with.
Sure. So there's things that you have scumbria, which is this is done with a white fish and with tomato and with onions and peppercorns, and it's served cold, and you'll get a version of this dish maybe in Finland, and you might get it in Latvia or maybe even in southern parts of Sweden as well. You have something called risolia, which is beets, apples, potatoes, a little anchovy, but sort of again made into a salad. There was no blood pudding because they couldn't get it sent down from Estonian time. We don't usually do a pork roast, but the Estonian chefs at the hotel they managed to do that. That feels a little bit more Denmark to me. We normally didn't do that. Normally my grandmother would have done a roast, and then again would have been served cold as well with like a remoulade type of sauce. Tom, are you getting hungry back in the studio over there?
Starving.
I start my day hungry and just descend further into that. Andrew Tuck, what's the kind of Mallorquin, what's the secret ingredient? Because, of course, you are a committed pescatarian, so presumably some of the heavier meats are off the agenda. What does that look like, smell like, taste like?
Well, Tom, because I know you like a bit of ham on, because certainly it's quite hard to dodge the ham on. I manage it. But the amazing thing is, even you go to like a little regular supermarket here, is that there's so many dismembered limbs hanging all over the shop at this time of year. Everybody's got a big piece of pork they're taking home now. And you were eyeing up some pork earlier this year and telling me it's actually very expensive.
Well, it's also trickier because of this lunacy of. Let's not get into the consequences of Brexit, but yeah, it's harder to source. My preferred Ibericos, the acorn-fed, premium stuff. So there was a fair degree of backwards and forwards and some customs palavers. Should I be saying this on the record?
Well,
Probably not.
You can say it on the record, but I'm curious. Is this? Are you a fan of what is it? Is it Cinco Jotas?
Correct. That's literally the brand.
Cinco Jotas. There you go.
There is no limits to what this man knows about. Correct.
So Andrew can. Does that sound right? He could be your pork mule.
Yeah, I don't know.
Your Hamon donkey.
I don't mind being your pork mule, Tom. We've known each other quite a long time.
We have. We're close.
Is that related to a news ass?
The news ass is a different, but equally sort of efficient,
useful
engine for conveyance. The conveyance of anything: pork products, news, items. Ladies and gents, listen. The clock is against us, and I don't want to keep you from the ongoing festivities. What's top of the list of things you're still looking forward to? We've opened the stockings, we've kicked off the feeding frenzy, but Brenda, what are you most looking forward to? I don't know, eyes maybe already on 25? Is it too far to look ahead? What are you excited about as you look forward?
I am really excited about going to Dubai. I really am. I just can't wait just to feel that heat on my back, just to lie down with a good book and do absolutely nothing for a week. I'm really looking forward to that. Swimming in the sea. Glorious.
That sounds wonderful to me. Mr. Tuck, what are you most looking forward to?
Well, the interesting thing about being in Spain is New Year's is a huge thing here. So in a week's time, we'll have that. And actually, for kids here in Mallorca, many of them don't get their presents at this time of year. They have to wait until the New Year when it's the kings come, Los Reyes Magos, and that's the date that you get your gifts normally if you're in a Mallorquin village here. So there's lots of things, and it's a real time of like weird fates and festivals. So it's a good time to be here.
If I tried to get my kids to wait until the new year, Andrew, there'd be some kind of dreadful Dorset-based lynching situation that would go on. Tyler Brûlé, what are you most excited about? I know you're a man with the eyes on the sort of far horizon, but closer to home or into 25, what got you hopping out of bed with a spring in your step this morning?
Well, I just, of course, going up to our little resort shop because the Monocle shop has reopened in St. Moritz. So Max has been looking after the coffees, the hot chocolates, the pouring of other beverages. Brenda, if you came came to Emirates, we would have, of course, champagne for you as well. So that's great. So there's a little outpost for all of our listeners. One of the interesting things, though, of course, a lot of people spend time with their family. Of course, a lot of people are up in the mountains. But tomorrow, Tom, is the day that it really changes. The 26th, it really goes bananas because people might be in Hamburg or they're visiting family on the other side of Europe, other side of the world. But it's one of the busiest days. If you are, Tom, are you a plane spotter?
Yeah, it has been known.
Okay, so what I can tell you is that it's a really remarkable day to watch private aircraft come into Samaden Airport. It is just one Gulfstream, one Global Express, one Pilatus after another, and then you just have just vehicles and everyone descending. So it really sort of takes off. But to your sort of key question, what am I looking forward to? So much to next year. We've got a world of new books coming out. And funnily enough, Tom, next book is going to be on Switzerland. Andrew, I just have to check sort of with that. We're thinking sort of by end of summer that book comes out. Greece, of course, has just hit now, and Greece is going to be, yes, and Andrew is, of course, in Athens just in the run-up to Christmas as well. But Switzerland book comes out
in August.
In August. So that's happening. So we've got books coming out. There's also a new series that's going to launch. But before all of that, Tom, it's our new outpost in Paris. Not the Bureau. The Bureau is up and running. But we're talking about Rue Bachamont, the cafe, an amazing kiosk, radio studio, Tom, as well. So it'd be great to sort of see you over there. I'm looking forward to that. So there's going to be a lot of TGV time between Zurich, Eurostar time to London as well. And we'll just be seeing me in the second.
There could be some escargot involved.
I listen. How do you feel about escargot? You feel good about that?
I'm on board.
Me too. Anyway, I should say Merry Christmas, Tom, from high up here in the mountains. Anyway,
lovely stuff. Tyler Brûlé, Andrew Tuck, Brenda Toohey. The best Christmas wishes to you all, and I'm sure we will send that out to all of our listeners all around the world. This is The Briefing here on Monocle Radio.
The Foreign Desk is Monocle Radio's weekly world affairs programme. We tackle the biggest global news stories as well as those too often left untold.
I've been out on the streets of Lagos. People are unable to withdraw their cash. Fights have broken out in banking halls.
As well as the occasional retelling of events from days long past.
The gates opened and in came this horse, absolutely huge, made of wood. People were asking, what's it for? Is it some kind of icon?
Our expert guests offer in-depth analysis and first-hand experience.
There were a lot of diplomatic efforts by NATO and NATO allies. We really made big efforts to convince Russia not to invade.
The Foreign Desk with me, Andrew Muller, is available every Saturday from midday London time, right here on Monocle Radio.
You're back with The Briefing on Monocle Radio. This Christmas Day, I'm Tom Edwards. And listen, can you hear that? Something or someone is coming down the chimney. It's Chris Lord.
Ho, ho, ho. Hello, Tom. How are you doing?
I am doing well. Chris, Merry Christmas to you.
Very Merry Christmas to you as well.
Now, we've already heard from various of our far-flung colleagues in the High Alps, just round the way, here in London town, in Palma de Mallorca, no less. Where do we find you this jolly Christmas afternoon?
Well, I am currently in North Manchester at the moment, Tom, looking out to a steely sky towards the Pennines. And I have to say, of course, this is my first Christmas back in the country after decamping from Los Angeles, very different locale than where I find myself now. But it's good to be home and it's good to be sort of hearing the sounds of the Christmas dinner coming together.
Chris, we'll come to some of the North of England traditions momentarily. But talk to me about, that's what, 3 Christmases, I think, in beautiful, well, probably usually sunny California. Did you make your own new traditions? big turkey roast underneath the palm tree. Just tell me, what was it like generally?
Well, Tom, I'll tell you about the very, very first Christmas I had out there. So I moved out there on, inexplicably, the 5th of December to move myself to Los Angeles. And so, I got myself sorted with a flat for over Christmas and was all kind of getting set up and so on. But on the day itself, I was at a loss of what to do. I actually did not know.
What a sad picture.
Well, you say it's sad. Let me bring you some cheer of how the Christmas spirit came to me, Tom. So I drank some champagne alone that morning.
This sounds so jolly.
Spoke to some family, which was good. And then I was like, I'd just moved into a flat in Hollywood, in West Hollywood. So I was like, I wonder what happens in a Hollywood church on the day itself of Christmas. So I walked over to on Fairfax Avenue, big old church there, and I thought, wow, it's going to be full of, slightly dissolute former film stars dragging themselves into the church this morning, or it's going to be full of old producers saying their Hail Marys for another year, hopefully in the business. But actually what it turned out to be, Tom, was a very large contingent of mostly Filipino families who'd gathered there, very pious they were, all from the local area, worked and lived there, who made me feel incredibly welcome. And of course, as you probably know, Tom, there's lots of traditions there of shaking hands with newcomers. So I literally had lots of families gathering around me, surprised to see my presence. And then I took myself to the one place that was open on Christmas Day. Where is that? Probably the most famous Jewish deli in Los Angeles, Cantor's on Fairfax Avenue. I went, had a big seasonal meatloaf and a few beers, which was good. And it all worked out well.
And can you confirm or deny that all of those Filipino folk in that church, their nickname for you was seasonal meatloaf as well? Is that true? It's just a rumour I heard.
Well,
what did they
I
make
should
of
say,
you? This absolutely drunk northern man staggers in.
Who's drank champagne on his own all morning. But, I have to say, it just reminds you that even in a very big, vast, sprawling city like Los Angeles, people find ways to come together as communities, and those communities quite often welcome in outsiders, newcomers, even if they are a little bit tipsy.
That's a lovely story, Chris. So let's bring things back a little closer to home. As you mentioned, back in the motherland, back in the bosom of your family. Any specific North Manchester traditions? What time, for example, do you put the whippet in the oven to make sure it's cooked through by the time the lunch is?
I mean, these are shocking levels of stereotypes that our listeners, I suspect, from all over the world probably don't get those stereotypes. But that's fine.
Come on, what is it? What is it like? Eccles cap? I don't know. Do you tell me?
We all put on our flat caps. We get our ferrets in our long coats, and then we take ourselves up to a failing pub up in amongst the dales. But no, look, we start in the morning. I actually, I'm spending it with my family this year, which is great. They're very glad I'm back in the UK this year for this Christmas, so it's a nice homecoming one. But indeed, we will get a turkey, and it is a turkey going into the oven. Then we leave it to stew over the course of a few hours.
Shouldn't be stewing. It should be roasting, Lordy.
In its own juices. And then we take ourselves up to a great old pub that is right up amongst the farmlands, not too far from my house, which is just always in fact, I'm going to be heading there imminently. Always an amazing atmosphere. Lots of sort of slightly surly old chaps in there, desperate to escape their families.
Oh, that's you again, Chris. And then what about over the rest of the sort of Christmas break? I hope you get a little bit of time off from all your Monocle work. What are there other sort of staples? Yeah, I like some bracing walks out over the Dale. Sounds very lovely. Recharging the batteries. Any secrets that you have kept up your sleeve thus far, Chris?
Well, my partner and I, she and I are heading up to a mutual friend of ours who live up in the sort of Dumfries and Galloway area, which is just on the borderlands of Scotland and England. And he has a rambling old, amazing old house that has been in his family for many, many years. And we've been going there for New Year's, and it's always just such a brilliant experience. And one of the reasons that it's absolutely amazing, who knew that you could have so much fun in such a simple way? Every year he insists that we play Victorian parlour games, which he has done all through his childhood in this rambling old house, including the amazing game Find the Thimble. Have you ever heard of this game, Tom?
I have heard of it.
It is an old Victorian parlour game. Right. That is how they entertain themselves through the long, bitter winter nights of Victorian England. And essentially what you do in your large parlour, you hide a thimble somewhere. It has to be in plain sight, so there's no undercushions, no hidden away, nothing like that. It's got to be in plain sight. Everybody leaves, comes back in, increasingly drunk from round to round, and tries to find the thimble. Well, that... honestly, Tom, makes New Year's Eve whiz by.
I bet it does. Chris, I don't know if I can top that.
You must have some traditions.
I don't know.
you,
I'm
Tom?
kind of rendered
Edward's
speechless.
Oaks.
I'll put Edward's Oaks. Maybe I'll try and get a bit of Find the Thimble going.
I highly recommend it. It will keep your children entertained for probably about 15 to 20 minutes, but the adults will go all night.
Good luck to them. Chris Lord, let's draw a line under it right there. Merry Christmas, my friend. Best
Merry
to you
Christmas
and yours.
to you, my friend.
Get yourself back down to London safely for the new year. That's our Chris Lord sharing some northern secrets, a northern light, if you will, here on the special Christmas Day edition of The Briefing.
Tune in to Monocle on Culture, where we grill our panel of critics to get the inside line on the best in the world of film, music, art, literature and more.
It's just got this synth section that kind of makes you want to swing through the saloon doors straight to the dance floor.
With industry insiders and the odd bit of reportage too, it's bound to keep the most discerning of culture vultures very well fed.
Why'd You Come In Here Looking Like That is a song that is absolutely going to make you want to put on a pair of tight jeans and go boot scooting, even if it's just in your front room.
Monocle on Culture, premiering Mondays at 2000 London time and available thereafter wherever you get your podcasts.
Finally, on today's special festive edition of The Briefing, Monocle's Gillian Dobias is here, and she's got something of a very special festive gift for all you lucky listeners. Taken from Christmas Memories by Truman Capote, here is Gillian with her annual Christmas Day reading.
A Christmas Memory by Truman Capote. Imagine a morning in late November, a winter morning more than 20 years ago. Consider the kitchen of a spreading old house in a country town. A great black stove is its main feature, but there's also a big round table and a fireplace with 2 rocking chairs placed in front of it. Just today, the fireplace commenced its seasonal roar. A woman with shorn white hair is standing at the kitchen window. She's small and sprightly, but due to a long youthful illness, her shoulders are pitifully hunched. Her face is remarkable, delicate and finely boned, and her eyes are cherry-coloured and timid. "Oh my," she explains, her breath smoking the window panes. "It's fruitcake weather." The person to whom she is speaking is myself. I'm 7. She's 60-something. We're cousins, very distant ones, and we've lived together, well, for as long as I can remember. Other people inhabit the house, relatives, and though they have power over us and frequently make us cry, we're not, on the whole, too much aware of them. We are each other's best friends. She calls me Buddy, in memory of a boy who was formerly her best friend. Tomorrow, the work I like best begins. Buying. Cherries and citron, ginger and vanilla, and canned Hawaiian pineapple, rinds and raisins and walnuts and whiskey, and oh, so much flour, butter, so many eggs, spices, flavorings. Why, we'll need a pony to pull the buggy home. Of all the ingredients that go into our fruitcake, whiskey is the most expensive, as well as the hardest to obtain. State laws forbid its sale, but everybody knows you can buy a bottle from Mr. Ha-Ha Jones. And the next day, having completed our more prosaic shopping, we set out for Mr. Ha-Ha's business address, a sinful place, to quote public opinion. As we approach his cafe, we slow down. Footsteps. The door opens. Our hearts overturn. It's Mr. Ha-Ha Jones himself. He is a giant. He does have scars. He doesn't smile. No, he glowers at us through Satan-tilted eyes and demands to know, "What do you want with Ha-Ha?" For a moment, we're too paralyzed to tell. Presently, my friend half finds her voice a whispery voice at best. If you please, Mr. Ha-Ha, we'd like a quart of your finest whiskey. He retreats into the shadowed cafe and seconds later appears carrying a bottle of daisy yellow unlabeled liquor. He demonstrates its sparkle in the sunlight and says, $2. We pay him with nickels and dimes and pennies. Well, my friend remarks on our way home, there's a lovely man. We'll put an extra cup of raisins in his cake. The black stove, stoked with coal and firewood, glows like a lighted pumpkin. Egg beaters whirl, spoons spin round in bowls of butter and sugar. Vanilla sweetens the air, ginger spices it. Melting, nose-tingling odors saturate the kitchen, suffuse the house, drift out into the world, into puffs of chimney smoke. In 4 days, our work is done. 31 cakes, dampened with whiskey, bask on windowsills and shelves.
Lovely stuff. Thank you so much to Gillian, and thanks to all the team behind today's special edition of The Briefing. That is all we have time for today. Thanks for being with us. Time for you to get back to your log fires and speciality Christmas hams, it says here. And time for me, Tom Edwards, to bid you farewell. Today's programme was produced by Tom Webb, and our studio manager was Elliot Greenfield. Thanks to them. Well, that about wraps it up. There's only one thing left for me, Tom Edwards, to say, and that's have yourself a very Merry Christmas.